It is Friday night, it's Neil Atkinson, it is Damian, Kavanagh, Cam Rimmer and Andy Heaton. We are here with our friends at Erdinger. And by the time this comes out, this will be the 10th show the Anfield Wrap has put out in a 24-hour period since the final whistle last night. So if you don't mind, we'll have a little bit of Erdinger celebratory.
Prost.
Absolute pleasure.
You wonder why I'm going grey?
We wonder why you're going grey, why we're all up the wall, why I'm so glad to be settled down with a pint to sum it all up. And we'll sum all, first and foremost, that game, Damian. They look like a team who hadn't played together, because guess what, they were a team that hadn't played together.
Yeah.
But then they looked alright, they're all good players.
Yeah, I thought, when the team was announced an hour before the kick-off, I thought that looks like a good use of the squad. But then I think none of us would be shocked that we make a slow start. You're coming into a team who will have played together before. It's the biggest game of the season that they're going to have. They're going to come after you. The pitch isn't quite as good. It's all very third round of the FA Cup, isn't it?
The pitch looked like Aintree, if we're honest about it.
Yeah, that's a compliment. But what else do you expect? And we have got, we're in we'd much rather be in the big cup, but we've got an opportunity to do something that we wouldn't have been able to do if we were. I think we could get a long-term benefit to this, because by definition, if you make 11 changes, you've got 22 lads who are forward, them out for a game plus some, and there's an opportunity to keep them in the swing of it. Now, part of that will be, if it's the first game of the season, for those players starting together in a manner like that, they're going to be a bit ring rusty against a team that's already up to speed.
Yeah.
So it looks a bit wobbly, and guess what? Liverpool turn a goal around and win in the end with a bit of class, and they get an opportunity to get some positives, giving a start to Ben Doak, still bringing on one of the world's greatest players to make it great. What does everyone for Gambit?
Yeah.
By the way, what an opportunity that he might not have otherwise got. So no surprises, and job done. I think we've just put it in the job done box. That's what we wanted. We wanted the results. We wanted no serious problems towards Sunday, an opportunity to be fresh on Sunday. We've got all we wanted from the game.
Got what we wanted, and also you can be cynical about this stuff, Cam, as well. The other group game's a draw. Suits us down to the ground, and if Toulouse can get something from Lask in game 2 and we can get a result against Union, then we're set up and we beat Toulouse home and away to maybe even have qualification 100% in first place, 100% done by the aim of game 4, and that's why it was so important he won. I was beginning to think, the only thing that got in my, I never thought we were going to lose, but the thing that got in my head is this feels like one which could end up being a bit of a sticky draw. If it goes 1-1, it might go 2-1 back to them, and that was my only real concern. I never thought we were going to lose the game, genuinely never thought we were going to lose the game. I was just worried we might have just looking a bit stuck, but we don't, and yet again they turn one around.
Yeah, it's just not what's needed at the minute, especially going behind, because all different sorts of media, different sorts of fans are trying to find stuff on us, because we're coming back from a goal down, and at the end of the day, we're just basically blocking all that off, aren't we? And just getting the wins and just getting it done with. If you end up getting a draw last night, people start saying, "Oh God, is it the old Liverpool coming in? Is this happening?" But at the end of the day, just shut up shop, get the win, and to be honest, like you just said then, it doesn't matter how they come at this stage of the season, just get the wins, and that's it. And it's all part and parcel of the other two teams drawing. And then if that then happens in the next game, as you said, it can be boxed off really early on. And if anything, that'll help just having, you can bring more youth players into it then. Hopefully to have 2 type rubber games towards the end.
It's, with the fans, you're constantly looking for positives, and the big fella up front is yet again a positive. Nunez is great, he scores the penalty. People were nervous, I didn't quite understand why. If there's one thing I thought this fella will do, it's kick it in the goal from 12 yards. He does it, absolutely nails it. He's integral to the second, he sets up the third, and he just in general, I thought in the second half especially, I thought his hold-up play was great, his physicality was great.
Yeah, it's amazing what a season Bedning can do for you otherwise, isn't it? No, all of that. I don't think it's the first time this season either. I think he started the season positively anyway. Wolves away last week on the turn with your mate, the centre half. What's his name?
Dawson,
Left him in a heap on the floor. So, no, good. He looks like he's got a degree of control about what he's doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, like last year, that's probably on my mind because of what's going on at home, but he was like an over-exuberant puppy. What I mean? They're not in control of the limbs, they're just pounding around, whereas he's a little bit more mature, more relaxed. Knowing that he can, and also knowing that he's not under massive pressure to do so, because guess what? His mates are alright at doing it as well. On the going 1-0 down thing, a little bit of sympathy for them because we deserve to go 1-0 down against Wolves, that's fine, no arguments. While we weren't great in the first half, I think that's their only real shot in anger. And again, 2 things happen. Number 1, the lad will never hit a ball like that in his life. Number 2, if the other fella's in goal, he saves it.
So think so, yeah.
Yeah,
I said that last
100%.
night.
I agree with that. I think, and I don't want to be harsh on the young fella because I'm made up he's where he is.
I said that at the time, and I know it's a limited video, so I'll give you a brief, but there's two key things for me. If you watch the goal back, number one rule as a goalkeeper, you're anticipating the shot, you get yourself set and ready. You don't react, be proactive. He reacts, he doesn't set until the shot has already been hit. So instantly takes any chance of getting across. Getting across.
Speed of the ball beats him out.
And then, he's never going to get there. And he's not empowered because it was a panic set. Secondly, if you watch the ball from the top of the goal, alright, it hits the bottom corner and it hits the net, but when it crosses the line, it's about 3 foot inside the post. Now maybe I've got Allisonitis, which is probably the answer. But I
Most
said
Premier League strikers have as well.
Instantly, I said to you at the time, didn't I? Don't know about that. I mean, good enough, he makes a cracking save with his legs, which gets ruled offside anyway.
But it's a great save, that one with his legs.
It's a cracker, it's a cracker. But no, so I thought, tail of the tape is we conceded first, but I think it was dissimilar.
Yeah, it was.
To how we've done it.
Well, on the concede, I'll come back to you on that. The conceded first thing, there's different ways you can concede first. You can concede first because someone makes a clanger, which you're able to look at maybe the Bournemouth game and the Newcastle game and go clangers. You can concede first because you're being outplayed as a group. You can maybe look at the Wolves game and go, they were being outplayed as a group. And then you can concede first because some lad whacks it in from 25 yards. And I do feel as though, whilst at the minute this stat is mounting up for Liverpool, and I'd love a few games of not conceding first, don't get me wrong, whacks it in from 25 yards is the one where you need to all be able to go, all right, one of them.
Secondary to that though, if there's a goal that's going to get a home crowd on its feet, it's one of them. So then you just manage the next 5 to 10 minutes out. I mean, look, towards the end of the half, we could have scored a couple of times in the first half anyway. Darwin should score with the header from Harvey Elliott's cross. Great ball. And
the one from the corner as well, where Van Dijk nods it back. I mean, that's a great save, to be fair.
Yeah, it was. And then there was the Nunez header, which, all right, it's a great save, but I just headed down. But he won't make that mistake.
It wasn't the same, but it was very Andy Carroll in the cup final. Don't give the goalie a chance to save it and make a boss save.
What I will say with confidence is he won't make that mistake twice. So, and overall, more happy with him.
Andy's thing around him in terms of him looking like he's more in control of things, I think that's absolutely spot on. It's a really, when he needs to show unbelievable levels of physicality and aggression, he's got it. It's there. But it doesn't feel as though it's the defining factor. When he needs to show staggering pace, he's got it. It's there. When he needs to whack the ball, he's got it. It's there. But none of it feels as though it's got to be all these things all the time with him. He's great when he comes on against Wolves, does really well last night, and obviously that's building on what we've seen earlier in the campaign.
It will all come. He's got the players around him. He just needs to literally do it at Newcastle. It just sums him up. Just get it, and we get the chance to put in the back of the net. I think Newcastle's going to be a springboard. I think even just because it's there's still been a few games, I still think that performance by the end of the season, you'll be like, that was his springboard.
That was the one.
That was the one. That was the turning moment. I said all along, he's going to have that big moment. And I thought last night he looked sound, but as well, like a shout out for the rest of the team as well. I think they all looked composed. Even when we went one down, I was like, this is going to be fine. And I think that's just the experience coming in from the peers.
One thing I've seen over the last couple of games, and this just applies to Darwin, it applies to all the attacking lads, they're getting the ball into feet much quicker. The new midfield, we're not stretched as much. We're moving up as units. The ball's going in quick. There's no the amount of times last season where, and listen, I will be forever grateful for the lads that have been and gone. So it's not a slight on them, but just the whole malaise around it, and everyone was fed up with each other. And the amount of times where we'd have a ball in a situation and we just delay. Simicast aside, who's made that a lifetime habit. But I think that's been. I suppose what I'm trying to say is the forward three's lives are being made much easier by the movements we made in the midfield in the summer.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
I think there's something now, Damian, thinking about the West Ham game where I'm thinking about the Wolves game going back the other way, where we maybe need to think about football a little bit differently. Because the first thing I thought after last night's game was, he's giving himself a bit of a dilemma, the manager. Who does he pick up front against West Ham? And I was thinking that, and then today I got to the point where I went, no, hang on, he's probably thinking to himself, well, what two of these lads alongside Salah will do the big first 50, 55?
Yeah.
But there's likely to be 10 minutes added on once all the time wasting's taken into account. 2 will come on and do the other 50 because of the time that's going to be added on in here, and that's how this is going to operate. And I think it'll be hard enough for him to convince lads who wear number 9 on the back that not starting's not necessarily a bad thing, without also having to convince us as well, because it's not really a selection headache, is it? You know, they played 90 there, Nunez and Diaz. There's every chance they get to come off the bench in this game against West Ham, play 40, 50 minutes, be able to contribute all the way through. It sort of doesn't matter who starts as long as Liverpool finish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, as long as they all stay happy, and you've also got to make sure that the players are aware that if you're starting, don't take the knock if you're getting dragged off. It's all about the momentum, so it works on both sides. Now, I didn't like the idea of 5 substitutes when it was introduced. I understood the reasoning at the time, and I thought this was going in one direction. And one of the complaints about the so-called, if you want to use the expression, smaller clubs was those clubs with the bigger squads got the chance to flex their muscles. Well, what a wealth of striking options we have.
Yeah.
So let's flex. Yeah, exactly. Let's flex those muscles. So yeah, we've got a wealth of talent there, aggression, pace. You know, they're all chomping at the bit to be. Who is the other 2 who start alongside Mo? Yeah. And you've got Mo chomping away saying, I've got to be the best Mo in the world every single day of my life, and that's what exactly how he's playing his life, isn't he? It's true, isn't it? You know, so. Yeah, it's a different game now, because instead of just sort of saying, well, I'll throw this fella on with 20 to go and we'll stretch them, you can throw a whole unit of a team on. Yeah. You can throw a whole right side of the pitch, a whole midfield, a whole new attack, and you can, we did it to an extent. We played, was it Leicester in the League Cup? Where we played like a young team. We were getting beaten. We said, well, we'll have enough of this. We'll throw a load of subs on and beat them. Now that can happen in a League Cup game. Now that is going to be able to happen at the top level in league, getting Premier League matches, and we're in a good position. So as long as we can make sure that Liverpool's going in that direction, because we're much better at scoring more than the opposition, then yeah, it's not a problem for Jurgen, is it? It's like an embarrassment of riches. And as long as he keeps everyone happy and keeps everyone included, last night, as we were saying, part of that, where they are getting minutes elsewhere, so they're up to the speed, they feel part of the squad. It's good news for us all.
And it's not a headache. Like if you think about it, a headache is having to put Henderson at centre half in the lockdown season. This having 5 world class strikers. Do you know what I mean? Like that sort of situation. This situation, Klopp, you think this isn't a headache? I'm made up with this.
There is one other thing with the front 5, and it's only just occurred to me now, is that there's no like for like for either of them. Every single one of them.
Yeah. You've got the unique attributes.
Is different. Yeah. So it's not like you've got. So Jurgen was talking about this Liverpool v2. It's like we don't want to create a carbon copy of what's been. We want to build something completely new. And I think maybe I'm looking into this a little bit too far, but it's an easier sell when they've all got different qualities to go, right, for this game we're doing this, this and this because A, B and C, as opposed to going, you've got Mo Salah and a lad who's a bit like Mo Salah. Yeah. Who's never going to get in. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They've all got a different. They all bring something different. And while, as much as that's good for us, imagine being an opposition manager trying to try and plan for that lad.
Well, that's why I think Cam, I think in this one, I think you've almost got to look at the next 3. Like I think there's every chance. I would be determined to start Nunez away at Spurs. I'd be determined to start him away at Brighton, just to say first 45. We're going to beat you up a bit. We're going to look to put the ball over the top. We're going to look to have that release valve. We're going to look to win some headers, hold it up. We're going to look to do it this way. And then when we beat you up a bit, then we're going to bring the more subtle options on. Maybe in this one coming up against West Ham, not least because West Ham want you to try and beat them up to an extent. That's the nature of the team they are. Maybe you go, you know what, you're going to sit so deep against us, we'll put the clever little intricate lads on, and then we'll bring the ones who aren't going to come in and lead and power late in the game.
Well, Spurs made last season, he did that with Nunez, didn't he? Yeah. First half, it was just hit and hope and just get him to just stretch out their defence, and it ends up working. Didn't we end up getting the win? But yeah, I think he'll do that for Sunday, and he'll be saying to him, don't be disheartened, you've been doing brilliant, but you might get a few minutes against Leicester in the cup, but you're definitely starting at Spurs, which could end up being a cracker.
Yeah.
To be honest, so.
And it's a massive game, that one now. So, I mean, they've got the North London derby at the same time as we're playing West Ham.
Yeah.
I'm not going 2 games ahead here because it's going to be dead hard on Sunday, and we'll come on to about that in a minute. But this is now a run, if you know what I mean. And when you're on a run, you've got to work out how you're keeping the run alive. You don't just do that by thinking one step. I think when you're struggling, you should only ever focus literally on the thing that's right in front of you. But when you're on a run, you want to see it. You want to be able to imagine how they keep making those steps forward.
Yeah, exactly. With Sunday, it's just sort of, it's got to be like a bit of a Villa at home. That's like the benchmark for me for the season, where you just get the win early, just get it done with, and then you can be, because as you said, us as fans, we're the worst for it. A couple of wins, we're all like, thinking about the next game, and like, deep down, everyone is already looking at that Spurs game, thinking, that's a biggie, Brighton away, it's going to be a big one. We've still got this game, because these are going to be, after last night, these are going to be rooted.
They're what they are for me, West Ham, Damian, they underperformed last year like we do, and I think not dissimilar to us. It's in part because start of the season, the way the season structured, European games are on top for them, so they never quite get the momentum going. Maybe the manager in the league at least has a bit of a dodgy year. You could say our manager has a bit of a dodgy year. Maybe a couple of the players are a little bit underperforming last year. We had a couple of players underperforming last year. They're a top 10 side. This is a top 10 side coming to Anfield, I think. Are a good side, good players. Ward-Prowse is a special player, Piquet is a special player. I've always respected Antonio massively. You know, you go through their squad and I'm saying these are European class footballers. They won a European trophy.
By definition, I mean, Antonio's getting a bit carried away about where they're going to finish, like as in above us, but both of those teams will finish. Fair enough, and so we should, you know, to an extent, but both of those teams will finish higher than they did last season in the league, and that's with a European campaign they can both get the teeth into. So I've got a lot of respect for what David Moyes has achieved throughout his career. He makes sure, and it's doing a bit. It's damning him with fake praise, you know, the difficult to get beat. Well, you know what I mean. But you know, he makes them difficult to get beat. He gets the results that he wants. You know, it feels like it's a team. It feels like he's bringing them together to do as well as they can. And you know, that's a legendary season for them. And that's not patronising.
No, it's not.
Far from it. And I think we all enjoyed it, to be honest with you.
I was made up when they won it. Made up.
You know, so that's fair enough. But I think one of the luxury.
But also the thing about him, Damian, the lad who scores the goal, Bowen, he might not be fit for this. I think he will be. But there's something about what I loved when he ran through there to win that. I mean, let's be clear. That's an 89th minute winner in the European final, clean through. It doesn't ricochet off anyone, or you know what I mean. It's not just a shot from the edge of the box. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's winning West Ham's first ever trophy. He's so calm. That's why I respect him massively. He's so composed. He doesn't lose his head. He doesn't blaze it. He makes sure it goes in.
And in that moment, he had what must have felt like a lifetime to miss it.
Absolutely.
And he never looked like he was missing it.
No.
You know, so congratulations to anyone who wins a trophy. And you know, and they did that. But let's get back to it. We're better than them. We're better than pretty much everyone, with the odd exception maybe, you know what I mean. That's up to us to prove and to move on, and we're not there yet. We are a work in progress, and that goes back to, you know, conceding first or whatever. But part of that conceding first and then winning, it builds the resilience in the own team, but also in the opposition. We haven't won. Do you know what I mean? And this sort of like, you know, this is what Liverpool are good at.
Saw that with Wolves.
As soon as the equaliser goes up, but even before the equaliser, we know the game's not put to bed yet. And last season, unfortunately, very quickly and very rapidly, it turned into we were playing first goal the winner, and we were letting the first goal in. That's certainly how it felt on the road. But now it's like, even if we're playing first goal the winner, we'll win. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, it's building a little bit that, so I don't want to rely on that too much. I think one of the luxuries that we've got with the squad, you know, we've mentioned about the substitutions and that, is it's not an advantage to be in the Europa League. I wish we were in the big cup. We'll get back there as soon as we can. But one of the things that we're able to do is, like you say, build the momentum, look at these games, treat them as importantly as you do. But it gives you the opportunity then to pick the West Ham team and then count backwards. And use the squad in the other game, knowing that currently in the group stages the standard is we should be all right to get through, and we need to get through. So then when we're coming up against someone like West Ham, we might not quite have that luxury, and you know what I mean, with regard to the standard and where they're up to and the draw that they've got, or whatever. It means that they're a little bit more, and those fine margins can make the difference between a 1-goal victory and a draw or whatever, can't they?
Just two things there quick as well. I'm with you, obviously we'd rather be in the European Cup, but this season gives Jürgen the opportunity to complete the set. Win every trophy available.
It's true,
That is true.
Why not?
And gives a couple of those footballers, Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Matip, complete the set. A few more Trent as well. Robertson obviously. There's a fair few in there who can do it.
Maybe we should stop playing all alone.
I mean, you know, there's a thing about this, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? We're talking about, you know, the young goalkeeper before Kelleher, you know, and I think, you know, maybe if Kelleher was the regular Liverpool goalkeeper, he wouldn't have let that go, and I think you described well what happened there. You know, I think it's probably his last season at the club.
Yeah,
Probably
I agree.
he should be playing regular, like I'm saying, that would make him a better goalkeeper. What a place for him to sign off. I mean, Liverpool playing a European final in Dublin. Potentially the biggest home game we'll ever have.
But also as part of that, what he gets now is he gets that goalkeeper and other players. Loads of those lads are playing against Leicester. They play the game against Leicester. They go another week, they play the game against Union SG. And suddenly that is different. That is suddenly you are playing.
It turns like a little mini team. Like it turns into like their own team. Yeah, and you see that in League Cup and FA Cup.
Yeah.
Like obviously until we got to the finals, but they can start to think, well, tell you what, might not be in for Sunday. But next week we've got a big Europa League game that can get us through to the next round.
And it's got 5 subs.
Exactly.
If Harvey Elliott, you're thinking, I know I've got to start on the horizon.
Yeah.
I know the manager's going to call on me at some point for this game against West Ham. I come off the pitch knowing Mo Salah loves me in that one against in the midweek European game. Do you know what I mean? The extent to which it can breed a real sense, I think, Cam, of
just like
real
belonging, isn't it?
Yeah, belonging.
That's exactly what it is. And if that was the first, and I mean, obviously we know we all want to be in the Champions League, but if that was the first game in the Champions League, Ben Doak's not getting a start.
No.
You know, some of them
And
players.
Szoboszlai's furious if he started the way he has. The first Champions League game comes and the manager bombs him out.
Exactly.
He's going, I should be playing that as well. Whereas it obviously feels a little bit different.
It's about turning any situation to the best possible that you can have.
Yeah.
And I think we've got the best manager we could ask for in that regard. Do you know what I mean? As long as we make, I think it was important following the way social media goes, fans' expectations go, and this after what was a frustrating transfer window in a lot of ways. It started well and didn't seem to go very well after the start. That the fans needed the team to start well, play entertaining, and win. And then winning from adversity by being a goal behind, and even win from adversity by being down to 10 men and a direct rival and stuff like that. And that gives so the players have earned that. The manager's earned that for a start, and then the crowd can't half help. So it is about momentum football, and I think, without getting carried away with me, I tell you what, we'd have all took this. The position that we're in right now, whatever happens at the weekend, we'd have all took this.
There we are, we'd have all took this. Fantastic pint all the way through. I'm sorry there's not a clean break in the middle. I was just too engrossed in everything that we were saying. It'll be sort of levered in there. The Erdinger's the business, so's the chat. So are Liverpool.